All right, man. We're live.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Little technical difficulty again with headphone operation.
Yep.
But 8 minutes late as opposed to 15 minutes late last time. I think that's I think we're working in the right direction.
Yep.
So one thing I want to have happen on this specific live is I've been on a nutrition kick. And, you know, in the past, and we've been working together of some sort for quite a while, that's never really been my strong suit. I know when I was at Athletes Arena, a lot of that was passed on Shane. Because Shane had a lot of education, had a lot of the passion for nutrition. And, you know, I tell you, it's so hard in the industry to wade through the bull crap, right? I mean, there's so much stuff you're hit up with on a regular basis on nutrition that if you're just a general population person, I mean, how do you wade through and figure out what's bullcrap and what's not, man? Because it just seems there's so much misinformation, and I think a lot of it has to do with people's expectations of nutrition. Yeah, I got a comment already that it's a nice shirt. It says "Hella Swole." And yes, I am hella swole. But there's so much crap information out there, right? There's this pill, there's that pill, there's stuff to do in 3 weeks. There's, you know, it's just giving people unrealistic expectations. So we're kind of going to address 5 or 6 questions we get all the time, and you get all the time. What I see no more regular population people need help with. Who can you name like 2 or 3 people that you read on the regular that you could recommend to other people to read if they're really looking for good information? I know I read a lot of nutrition. Lyle McDonald is a guy I read with a lot. Mike Israetel, I read a lot. You know, I get a lot of information from guys like Berardi, Aragon, things like that.
Yeah.
Is that kind of within your readers too? Who you got out there that you can recommend people read?
Yeah, I was going to say if you want to go a bit more on the simple side and things that have more practical application, go with the guys at Precision Nutrition. If
Sure.
you want, and that's a little bit geared towards performance, but also health. If you want just health, looking into the Weston A. Price Foundation, I believe is the name. They have some really, really good stuff on just the connections between nutrition and health in general and well-being. Mm-hmm. If you want a little bit more of the scientific side, that's where Israetel, Alan Argon, those guys come into play. And then I think if you really want to go deeper than that, that's where guys like Lyle McDonald kind of really shine forth. So it depends on where the person is at individually, but I think there's a whole wide spectrum there, and those would be 4 good places they could start.
I mean, I honestly get on Lyle's page. It's what is it? Body Recomposition, bodyrecomposition.com, and it's a lot of great information, and it's highly entertaining.
Yeah,
it is highly entertaining. I mean, some of the people on there are hilarious. He's hilarious. I think the people just have a good time with him. But you know, McDonald, Aragon, Berardi. I mean, that's a good place to start, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, most definitely.
Let's tackle a little bit of the first question. When I really started getting my nutrition and really my interest, I started looking at, you know, a lot of stuff around macro content for fat loss, muscle gains. First of all, can you explain to people what are macronutrients, right? Because they're throwing that word around all the time, right? What are your macros? What are your macros? What are your macros? Explain to people what macronutrients are, and then why they kind of got a little bit popular, and what would be some macronutrients breakdowns for someone trying to lose weight, gain weight. Again, loaded question, but kind of dive into that a little bit.
Sure. So macros on a large scale are really the chemical components that make up your food. So that would be protein, fat, and carbohydrates. And you can also throw alcohol in there as a fourth one. And within each of those categories, per gram, they each are assigned a certain caloric value. So fat per gram is about 9 calories versus carbohydrates and protein per gram are about 4 calories. So if you look at a food label, you'll see the actual gram amount for each of those macronutrients.
Sure.
If you multiply that out, the grams times the number of calories, you'll get the total number of calories in the food. And that's kind of a simple breakdown on that. Now, macros got really popular with the IIFYM crowd. And if you don't know what that is, that's the If It Fits Your Macros crowd. And that is the idea that it's just about macronutrients. It's just about hitting those numbers, protein, fat, and carbs at the end of the day. And while it is true, if you are just looking at those numbers and saying, if I hit this amount, I will lose weight, or if I hit this amount, I will gain weight, that is true on a general energy perspective scale. You will increase body mass or decrease body mass, but we also have to consider what is the actual composition of that mass, meaning the ratio of fat to fat-free mass within the body mass that you just lost. So that's why it's gotten popular recently. A lot of folks use it with their online nutrition or fitness coaching opportunities. And it's very simple for them to just hand a client a program and say, hey, here's your macros. And that's much easier for them to do rather than taking the time to educate that individual on, hey, here's how to meal prep, here's how to set up meals on an individual basis, here's how to structure your peri-workout nutrition, both pre, intra, and post. And providing more of that educational component, they just provide them with the numbers instead. So that's kind of why it's gotten more popular.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I don't do anything in this industry really to make money anymore. I do it really to help people, and it's fun. It's something to kind of ease my stress, doing stuff like that. And when people talk to me about nutrition, I literally just put on a macro spreadsheet and say, hey, here's some macros with some certain foods. Here's the total calories. Here's your macro percentage breakdown based on what you want to do. If you're looking at gaining weight, I always take your daily need, add 250 to 500 calories. If you're looking to lose weight, I subtract 250 to 500 calories. Play with your macronutrients a little bit, and after that, it's kind of on you. Now, if you're out there really trying to make money on it, really, this is what you're dedicating your time, you really have to spend a lot of time educating people. And not only that, I tell people all the time, losing weight is like 80% behavioral health. I mean, a friend of mine, this is Jay Sharp, who's very big into fitness, wellness, nutrition. His family owns a lot of pharmacies, and he's really into just general health population. And the education side of it, he always says, is you can tell people what to do, but the history of how they've behaved over the last 30, 40, 50 years of their life, it's a behavioral health issue with general population people. So that kind of breaks down what macronutrients are, right? Proteins, fats, carbs, right? You need a certain amount to lose weight, you need a certain amount to gain weight based on what your daily caloric intake is. I just want to address that because people get on and read an article and they talk about macros and all this breakdown, and it can be confusing for a brand new person,
Yeah, and I think one of the things to also kind of tie in there with the numbers idea is when you see these numbers, hey, you should ideally subtract 500 calories from your daily caloric allotment to lose a pound per week. What they're really doing there is the idea is that what research has shown is hypothetically there's 3,500 calories in 1 pound of fat. So the idea is if you subtract 500 calories over a 7-day period, that's 3,500 calories. Hypothetically, you'll lose a pound of fat per week. That's the idea. Similarly, if you want to gain that, you would simply add those 500 calories. But I just want to touch on 1 or 2 quick points for both the deficit and the surplus. Ideally, with a deficit, someone should be looking to lose anywhere from 0.5 to 1% of their total body weight. So if they start at a heavier weight, they'll lose more weight initially. But then as they get lighter, that rate of loss will then slow down. It's kind of a delicate balance because we want to make sure that the individual initially is eating as much as possible while still losing weight, because this provides them not only with the nutrients to support energy production for lifting or whatever their activity or hobbies are, but it also then provides them with the calories which they need to support their organs and their endocrine system. Whereas on the opposite side of the equation, if we're looking to gain mass, realistically, if you're just starting out, you can shoot for about 2 pounds of lean mass gain per month. And that's going to look like about a pound gain per week. As you get more advanced, that scales back to about a half pound per month. And that rate of gain is going to be that much slower. You might only gain 1 to 2 pounds per month. And kind of for those intermediate lifters, they might gain 2 to 3 pounds overall the span of a month. And that's going to equate to about 1 to 2 pounds of lean mass. So that may change over time as they get heavier. They're going to have to eat more as they increase that total muscle size or cross-sectional area. That, again, eats up more calories. It's more metabolically active. So just a few things to keep in mind for people that...
So you're basically saying that's why people who start on a diet sometimes, like their first 2 weeks, they lose 8 pounds.
Yep, exactly.
And that evens out over time, right? And, you know, it's not going to work linearly. Right? Weight loss, weight gain. No, that's a good thing to say, because anytime you're dealing with people in nutrition, you always got to manage expectations, right? How many people, I tell people all the time, it is hard to gain muscle mass. Like to gain real hardcore muscle mass. I connected with you when I was talking about my goals, and I remember I said, hey, I want to be 210 and 10% body fat. And I was like, how long do you think that'll take me? And it was like in January, and you're like, October. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that's October. I was like, oh man, wine's out here crushing my dreams, man. You know? And but I mean, you're right, dude. It's been that slow because I've calculated everything for the last 180 days.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, you got to work hard in the gym. I mean, when you're in there, it's got to be hard work. And your nutrition's got to be on point. We've recently addressed sleep and all that kind of stuff. So, no, that's definitely a good thing to tell people. They're going to see those gains right away, but they're going to eat them out, right? Not get frustrated. A lot of people plateau. A lot of people make the mistake, in my opinion, when they do nutrition and their diet and they plateau, they just start rapidly cutting back calories, right? I mean, I've talked to people that are big, heavy people trying to lose weight, and they're like, I've cut everything back to 1,200 calories a day. I'm like, whoa, that's not good. Your breakfast was an orange and an egg.
Yeah.
Like, you're not feeding your body, you know? Yep. Next topic we want to touch on, and it's really big in the industry right now, nutrient timing, meal timing, right? I'll tell you what I do. And again, I'm not an expert. That's why I surround myself with guys like you and Shane and people that I feel really have dove into these kind of things. I have days that I do right around 500 carbs a day. Okay. And on those days, I do 100 grams of carbs pre-workout and 150 after. So, and to be honest with you, my third largest carb meal is like an hour and a half before bed. And people sometimes be like, you're crazy. You're going to, you know, the old, you eat carbs at night, you're going to get fat because you're not eating at night. Like, that's bull crap, right? We can just throw that out the window, right? That's, to me, cortisol level goes down. I sleep well. We all know that's right. That's what I do. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's wrong. I've done a lot of research. I've looked at a lot of stuff. I'm definitely not one of those people that say, hey, that's what works for me, because those people drive me crazy, right? Because people say, oh, that's what works. I lose weight because when I do cardio, that's what works for me. No. Hate to hurt anybody's feelings, but that doesn't work for you. But talk to me a little bit about nutrient timing.
Yeah.
Knowing what I do. What are the science for, against? What are your thoughts on it? Because to me, I love to eat, and I feel like in my brain, maybe I'm justifying eating more than I should. But talk to me a little bit about nutrient timing.
No, I mean, it's definitely an important factor to consider, but I think at the end of the day, we have to remember that there is kind of a nutritional hierarchy in terms of what's more important. And obviously, total calories, at the end of the day, it's a math equation, calories in versus calories out. But meal timing can probably make as much as a 10% difference in terms of overall body composition and strength or muscle mass goals. And you have to ask the question with meal timing, what are you going to be doing after that meal? That's really what you need to consider. If you're going to be relatively inactive, that's going to change the actual macronutrient composition of that meal. If you're about to go lift, or if you're about to go practice, like you're an athlete or something like that, and you have sports-specific goals, then you're probably going to see a much higher carbohydrate composition within the meal. Because we have to remember that any meal that we ingest, the effects of that meal and the quote-unquote meal timing benefits only last throughout the digestion and then absorption and assimilation of those nutrients. And roughly for most mixed macronutrient meals, something that has protein, fiber, fat, and a carb source, that's probably going to take anywhere from 3 to 5 hours to be fully digested and through your system into your large and small intestine. So from that point of view, we have to think about the entire day on a scale of both, we can call it anabolism and catabolism, muscle building and muscle loss. And basically what happens is when you ingest protein, you incur muscle protein synthesis. So you basically work on building new muscle. But as that digestion tapers off, then you will see that you actually come over into muscle protein breakdown, which is a normal cycle throughout the day. But ideally, if we have those amino acids in our digestive tract and we can pull them from our digestive tract, then we don't have to necessarily break them down from skeletal muscle and pull them from skeletal muscle. So that's kind of one of the reasons why intermittent fasting may not be the most ideal. From a total body mass perspective, if you're taking the same amount of calories in like 3 or 2 meals during the day, will you maintain body mass or potentially add more body mass if you're trying to gain weight? Yes, you will. But if you spread out those meals from a hypothetical perspective, at least from a mechanistic view, what we'll find is that you'll get more spikes of muscle protein synthesis throughout the day, and then hopefully keep that blood amino acid levels stable, especially during and around training. Whereas with intermittent fasting, that can tend to drop off, and through the session, you could be pulling it from your actual muscle fibers. So that's one main thing you want to consider with the actual timing of the meals, but also the frequency of the meals. And then I know that with this question, someone also asked, what's the best post-workout meal? So I kind of want to lump that all together in the same question. And as you mentioned, you do what?
Granola.
Yeah.
Boatloads, like ridiculous amount of like forever to finish granola and whey protein.
Yep. I do the same. I go through probably about a full box post-workout, 1,600 calories. But you're definitely dead on with trying to put carbs around the session.
Okay. And no fat, right? Because that's going to slow down digestion, right?
Sure.
I've saw a lot of people do their fat after workout later in the day if they're going to eat peanut butter or things like that.
Sure.
Because it's going to slow down digestion, bioavailability of other foods won't be there.
Correct. So let's break it down pre, intra, and post. Pre-workout, as you said, ideally you want to limit fat and you want to limit fiber. Now, not totally eliminate them. You still want a little bit, as they will actually help to reduce the potential for hypoglycemia during the lift. So if you have, let's say, a whey shake and you add powdered carbs to that pre-workout, what you may find is that 20 to 30 minutes into the lift, you feel your blood sugar kind of bottom out.
In there.
So if you have a little bit of fat, anywhere, say 8 to 10 to 12 grams, and a little bit of fiber, that can help to keep that blood sugar level stable. So that's kind of pre-workout. You want mainly carbs, mainly protein. Intra-workout, though, here's a major consideration. If possible, let's say you haven't eaten a pre-workout meal. If you can take in a whey protein, like something that's liquid, and also a carb source, that's going to do one of 3 things for you. The first being that if you're taking in the carbs during or around training, there's something called GLUT4. And what GLUT4 does is when you consume a carbohydrate, your insulin goes up, and you're trying to pull that glucose out of your bloodstream. And insulin can't always do that effectively. So GLUT4, what it does is when you are active, it becomes active, and it will assist in pulling those carbs out of the bloodstream and shuttling them directly into the muscle. So you will give yourself the best chance of shuttling the carbs directly into the muscle and being stored as muscle glycogen rather than being stored as adipocytes. So that's your first benefit. Second benefit is hormonally speaking, you have something called a TC ratio, testosterone to cortisol. As you train longer, like the duration of the session, that actually becomes skewed where testosterone will decrease slightly and cortisol will go up. Over the course of multiple sessions, if you're continuing to train at a high intensity or a very high volume, that will stage skewed. But what carbs can do is they can help reduce the actual onset of that switch in the ratio. So they can decrease the cortisol over secretion in certain cases and actually allow you to train longer because they will provide you with more glucose during the session. So they keep blood glucose levels very stable again. And then the third benefit is from an immune system perspective, you actually have an exercise-mediated immune response after each training session, meaning that your immune system actually dampens its ability to fight off pathogens and bacteria. And if you look at research, typically those individuals who are strength training on a regular basis will be more susceptible to upper respiratory tract infections. And so if you can consume those carbohydrates, it actually helps to offset that immune depression. So kind of a trifold benefit there if you can consume those intra-workout. But one caveat is if you've had a meal just prior, as we talked about, 3 to 5 hours for complete digestion. So if you've had a meal just prior to the session, there's no need really for an intra-workout beverage if you're going to consume another meal post-workout. So really you can bookend it with a pre and post meal, or some people find that if they have those nutrients available within the session and they don't have the pre-meal, they just do the carbs and the protein in a liquid source, that they feel even better. And I've definitely noticed that myself versus the meal and then having a post-workout meal within an hour or two of the session. That can definitely play a major role. So again, nutrient timing may not make a marked difference in terms of that 10%, but I think if it allows you to train harder and then also gives you things like those immune and hormonal benefits in the long run, that can make a much larger difference than people perceive.
So there's a couple of people I know listening. Workout first.
Yep.
Right? Get up and go. Work-life balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would they benefit, obviously, from that amino acid intra-workout? Because you got to think they're coming off 8 hours of not eating. That intra-workout amino acid carbohydrate drink as they're walking to the gym during, that's going to help with performance, muscle wasting, things like that.
Yeah, most definitely. The thing you have to consider is some people will digest it much more slowly than others. And so if they're the type to have an upset stomach or a very uneasy stomach immediately after eating, they may have to experiment with the timing more so before than intra. And if they find that they can't consume a whole lot of carbs intra-workout, one of the things that I've done with a lot of my clients is I recommend coconut water for 2 reasons. The first being that it has sugars naturally in it, roughly, I want to say 11 or 12 grams per 8 ounces. So it's not very much, but they're naturally occurring, so they tend to digest a bit easier than something like a waxy maize or maltodextrin that you add. But it also has very, very high potassium levels. So if you add that plus some sea salt, you actually have a natural Gatorade, quote unquote, so to speak, in that you have electrolytes and carbohydrates, and the electrolyte levels are much, much higher than you would get in Gatorade. So if you can do something like that, and then you can add a protein source to it, that is really the best of all 3 worlds in terms of carbs, protein, and electrolytes. So for those individuals, they definitely need something in their stomach, whether it be pre or intra, and then also something post, hopefully within an hour or 2 after they lift. But they may have to tweak it a little bit depending upon how well they digest it.
Sure. All right. Next thing, and me and you've talked about this. Casein before bed. Right?
Yep.
Big thing. And you know where I ran into this the most? A lot of people I know that are CrossFitters. Actually, one of the guys listening on, I think 2000, and Billy, let me know if you're wrong, 2015 finished 3rd in the world in Masters. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I tell people all the time, I don't know anybody that's finished 3rd in the world in anything except my buddy Billy Goodson. I mean, you can say what you want about CrossFit, I mean, or body, whatever thing. 3rd in the world in anything, I don't care if it's playing chess, you're a bad dude, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the CrossFit community talks a lot about the casein before bed. Now, I'll tell you this. I've never met a group of individuals who train more, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 hours. I mean, their volume's intense, so they could benefit from this intra workout probably, regardless of how much calories. They're probably doing 600 carbs a day, and still they need something intra workout if you're going to do a Murph, right, or something like that. That's crazy. And they were really, really big, and a lot of them were talking to me about casein before bed. Now, what I do, and you told me this, I do 1.5 cups of cottage cheese.
Yep.
2 days ago, I ate a bite of bad cottage cheese. It was old. It was one of the most. I almost threw up on my floor. It was horrible. I had tears coming down. I didn't check the date. I literally put a bad cottage. It did mess me up because I ate more today, so I thought it was going to mess me up. But I literally bit into rotten cottage cheese. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. But talk to people a little bit about casein and where you stand on casein at night. Where you stand?
Yeah. Personally, I think there is a good bit of research out there if you dig around showing some benefit. In the one study that I was looking into, they took in 40 grams of casein, which is quite a bit, before they went to sleep. And they had one group with the casein supplement, one group with a placebo. And they found that in the group that exercised and took the casein supplement, that they had a 20% increase in the amount of amino acids that they pulled from the GI tract to utilize in muscle protein synthesis. So that kind of makes sense given that you're going to be rebuilding more muscle overnight. Obviously, you're going to need more amino acids and pull them from your GI tract. But again, that's dependent upon exercise. So on the days that you lift, you may get that increase, but then on the other days you may not, and the difference may balance itself out. But the thing that you need to consider is, do I really need to invest in a supplement when there's things like cottage cheese and also quark? And that may be more of a European thing.
Quark.
Q-U-A-R-K. It's very similar to, I guess you could say, Greek yogurt and cottage cheese maybe combined if you blended them up. But it has more of the casein than yogurt. And it's actually very easy to digest. So that's one of the main arguments in a casein type protein versus something like a steak or eggs. Yes, there is a fat and protein source, so it's going to slow down digestion. And if you had also a fiber source like vegetables with that would slow it down too. But if you're about to go to sleep, that's probably not the easiest thing to fall asleep on after you've just eaten it. Whereas cottage cheese or casein tends to be very easy to digest, and it also has a very high satiety factor. So even if someone just drinks a casein shake, even though it's liquid, what you'll see is that within research, they also will report a higher satiety index, meaning that further away from the meal, they still feel full. So that can be beneficial if some people wake up in the middle of the night constantly from either low blood sugar or from just general hunger pains. Let's say they're in a deficit and they're dieting. That can be a large benefit. So in the long run, will it make a marked difference? Maybe, maybe not. Some research says yes, others says it's too early to tell. But I think if you're really looking to squeeze out that extra 5 to 10%, as most of these things that we're talking about, it certainly can't hurt. And if you like cottage cheese, you can just simply consume that before bed, and it's a very cheap alternative. The other thing I will note is with like casein shakes, or somebody who says, hey, well, I'm just going to add some milk to my protein shakes. This milk has a higher casein content. The thing to consider there is also the liquid content of what you're consuming. And obviously, if you're going to consume more liquids closer to when you're trying to go to bed, there's a higher chance that you will wake up in the middle of the night having to use the restroom.
Yeah.
So
with the whole sleep thing, right?
Yeah. So that can kind of be another component there, where if you just eat it, it has a lower liquid content. And then hopefully if you tapered fluid from when you ate whatever meal you want to call it, dinner, meal 4, meal 5, whatever you want to call it, whenever you ate that last meal before your pre-bed meal, hopefully if you've tapered fluid intake and you've also consumed some salt during the day, that you will then be able to make it through the night without having to get up and use the restroom. So a couple of things to consider there.
So overall casein, research shows it's positive. You can do some foods. Try it yourself. right?
I would say go for it with foods. I wouldn't worry a whole lot on purchasing a supplement just yet.
We had a girl message in and actually comment too, talking about number of meals per day, right? That's a big thing because what did we always hear like in the early 2000s? Eat 6 small meals a day to boost your metabolism, right?
Sure.
Well, we all now know that that's kind of not true 100%, right? Kind of it's poop, right?
Yep.
The reason people ate 6 meals a day was because if you're trying to eat 4,000 calories a day, you're not doing that in 3 meals.
Correct.
Right? You're not doing that in 4 meals. There's no way you're going to do 1,000 calories a meal. I can't, and do it 4 times to get your calories, right?
Yep.
So I tell people all the time, when it comes to meals a day, it's a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if you need to do snacks in between, your main goal is to get your caloric needs in there, right?
Yep.
Obviously, if you're eating 4,000 calories a day, or let's say someone's eating 3,600 calories a day. Well, it's realistic to do 6 meals a day at 600 calories a meal. That's realistic, right? If you're doing less, maybe you can do it in 5 meals. I've talked to people out with nutrition plans where they're like, hey, based on my job, one guy's a physical therapist. He goes, I can literally eat 5 meals a day. That's it. Like in my timing. Talk to us a little bit about how many meals a day, because that's a popular thing, right? It's a popular question.
Yeah, sure.
And where your thoughts are as far as that subject at all.
Yeah, so if you make it super simple, I would say, like you said, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, get those 3 main protein pulses in. And then depending upon where your workout is, you can also throw in an additional protein pulse. So let's say you eat breakfast, you lift right after you eat breakfast, probably within an hour to 90 minutes after that lift, have some sort of protein source. And then if you, let's say that's 10 a.m., you can push off your lunch till about 1, 1:30, even 2, depending upon when you get hungry, and then have that final dinner if you want. If you want to add something after dinner, pre-bed, that's easy. So you can add in kind of 2 snacks there. But the 2 things that you need to consider with meal frequency, the first being, mainly leucine threshold. And that's essentially leucine is one of the amino acids within protein that you need to maximally stimulate muscle protein synthesis. And we need to make sure that we're hitting a certain amount per meal, meaning we're having a certain amount of protein within that meal to give us enough leucine to maximize MPS. And that's the first consideration. So if you're eating these very, very small meals with lower calorie intakes, let's say you're trying to eat 7 meals or 8 meals with 15 to 20 grams of protein per meal, and it's either a vegetarian protein source or something like soy, something like that, which doesn't have a high leucine content, you're probably not going to maximize MPS. So if you bump that back to 4 or even 3 meals, you're going to get a much higher protein amount per meal and much higher leucine amount. Second thing you need to consider is muscle protein synthesis, as we talked about earlier, has this kind of wave pattern throughout the day where you go into anabolism, where you're building muscle, and then catabolism, but it has a refractory period similar to a neuron where once you stimulate that impulse, it won't contract again when you try to stimulate it again. So if you take in a meal and immediately an hour later you try to take in more protein, muscle protein synthesis will probably already be maximized from the previous meal, and any additional protein you take in before that meal has been digested, remember that 3 to 5 hour window, any additional protein you take in there probably won't do a whole lot. Now, there is some research showing that every 4 hours, if you're consuming, I believe it's 10 to 12 grams of protein, a high quality source of protein, that tends to keep anabolism up better than spacing those feedings out even further, 6 or 7 hours. So those are really your 2 things you want to consider. Am I consuming a quality protein source that gives me enough protein per serving or per meal? So anywhere from 25 to 30 grams is good for those smaller individuals. Could be even larger for bigger individuals, 35 to 40. And then how many meals am I eating? Am I eating more frequently than every 3 to 4 hours? If so, you're probably eating too many meals because you need to space those out to allow muscle protein synthesis to come back down to baseline so then you can re-stimulate it.
Yeah. And you know what I noticed too? I try to do 50% of my calories by 3 o'clock.
Okay.
And then I can get the rest, because I have markers throughout the day.
Mhm.
As I spread those meals out a bit, I noticed a big difference in energy.
Okay.
When I was packing my meals close together and eating too many meals per day, my energy level was a little messed up.
Hmm.
I think it was I was always in a constant state of digestion,
Sure.
and my energy level wasn't there, and it really affected workouts, right? Because
Definitely.
I've tried to. You had this conversation. I've tried to cut caffeine probably in half, and I've tried to help that with energy from spreading my workouts a little bit better, longer, having better sleep, not hammering 150 carbs for breakfast. How many people hammer those carbs in the morning at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and like 9 or 10, they're like, whew, kind of tired, right?
Yep.
So I don't hammer them earlier in the day until I get going. Then I'll hammer carbs that way. So I mean, I think we did good on that. Next thing, last thing, let's touch on this. Okay, let's touch on, and this is probably more for the advanced workout person, because we're going to discuss cheat meals versus refeeding, right?
Yep.
So when you're dealing with refeeding, you're dealing with, leptin, ghrelin, those hormone responses, right? Cheat meal, I think, is really more for the new person in working out, new person in nutrition plan, where again, it's more of a behavioral health issue, right? Can I look forward to that Saturday at noon cheeseburger? Will it get me through the week, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people here that are going to see this. They're in that boat. But there's a lot of people that are going to read this or see this video that are in that. I don't really give a crap about a cheat meal.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so ingrained in their life that like there's no emotional need for that Saturday noon cheeseburger because you don't give a crap about it.
Yeah.
I really don't care about that cheat meal.
Yeah.
Explain the difference between refeeding, because I'm kind of doing the selfish thing. I'm about to go on a little bit of nutrition plan where I cut back, but I'm still going to refeed every 7 days. And I'm going to refeed heavy. What's the difference between a cheat meal and for more an advanced dieter, what is refeeding?
So a cheat meal is essentially any meal that you take that is a completely free meal. So no macronutrient or calorie tracking and no stipulations on dietary choices. So you can basically choose what you want, eat what you want. And typically those are scheduled for more social settings. So if an individual is trying to maintain more of a healthy lifestyle or is in competition prep or is dieting just for general lifestyle and health reasons, then that may restrict some of their social outings if they like to kind of.
Some people don't care. Yeah.
So if they like to do it up big when they go out, then that probably will be something they can do as frequently. So if they schedule these cheat meals weekly, it gives them an opportunity to interact with family and friends on a social level, and hopefully gives them the feeling like they can kind of scale back and just relax for a meal. Whereas refeeding is typically done with very, very lean individuals. Those for males probably sub 10%, for females probably sub 15%. And typically that is also calculated, unlike cheat meals, and it's very, very high carb, whereas cheat meals you can eat whatever you want, whether it be higher fat or higher carb. But the idea with refeeds and cheat meals is you're trying to offset some of those long-term dietary adaptations to both the endocrine system, the HPA axis, and at a cellular level, like you mentioned with leptin and ghrelin, and hopefully offset some of those and give your body a chance to bounce back from that caloric deficit that you've been maintaining. And many times it will actually re-stimulate fat loss if someone is at a plateau. But the thing to remember is that in those individuals who maybe are just starting dieting or who are more heavily overweight, they most likely will not need a refeed because they are very insulin insensitive. And their better option would be to go with a cheat meal once a week from the social aspect, but then also they have to keep in mind when they do, it's not an all-out kind of go crazy sort of thing. So not a whole large pizza, just eat a normal meal.
It's a meal. It's not a purge.
Yeah. So those are kind of some of the main differences there. The cheat meal kind of gives you more dietary freedom. So if you're just starting out, it seems easier, whereas the refeed is more calculated. And it's typically, like I said, for the leaner individuals. So they've been doing this longer. But sometimes people will get a quote-unquote carb coma after that because they're not used to that many carbs in one sitting. So sometimes it can have drawbacks. But for the most part, when people institute either of those and they've been dieting for a long time, they normally wake up the next day, and for the next few days, they have really, really good training sessions because now they have fully restored muscle glycogen and given themselves a chance to be in an energy surplus versus an energy deficit that they typically maintain.
Cool. Yeah, I've been looking at the refeed side as I go into the next nutrition plan. I'll be honest, I probably haven't had a cheat meal. Like an all-out, I don't give a crap what I eat, in probably like 6 weeks, right? And it's funny, some people look at you as crazy, right? It's interesting what this culture says is crazy versus I just enjoy doing it. It's not bad for you.
Yeah,
it's a different lifestyle. I think people who eat out 3 days a week and eat Wendy's and Burger King, I think that's crazy, right? It's amazing what people say is socially acceptable, right? Sure. If you go to a friend's house and everybody's eating and drinking beer and you bring your own food, you're the jerk.
Sometimes,
I mean, it's funny. So you're the one they look at weird, like, you brought your own food? I'm like, yeah, I brought my own food. Unless you do something tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, there's a healthy balance with that. Like, you don't want to be the guy showing up at the your Christmas dinner with your Tupperware.
Sure.
So, I mean, there's always that pick and choose kind of how strict you want to get. And I think some of that can be in the educational component, like showing the individual, hey, if these are your options and this is your goal, what are some of the best choices that we can make in this situation so that it doesn't have to be socially awkward for you? And it kind of comes back to that educational component.
Well, I think that also comes down to between the person who is really experiencing this for a long period of time. Like, I've consistently been in the gym now for more than half of my life.
Yeah.
It's just part of life. It's just what you do, right? Mm-hmm. And I think when you can become desensitized, and I made a post on Facebook right around New Year's resolution, right? Mm-hmm. Where I noticed a bunch of people who work out, like, bashing New Year's resolution people. Like, get out of my gym, or I'm going to go find a different gym until February, or some New Year's resolution person asked me a question about how to turn on the piece of cardio, and they just got all snobby about it. Yeah. And I made a post of like, hey man, like, God forbid you need help. I mean,
yeah.
Gym's an intimidating place for the first person, for the first time.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's kind of crap. I mean, it's kind of like, I kind of made a post like, well, God forbid you ever need something and help for something in your life to be healthy and better yourself.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to hate on that, but we do get desensitized to what people who don't work out all the time, people don't eat right all the time, what they're going through when they want to eat healthy. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I've learned the most from this group page is, you're surprised what people are confused out there about, right? Mm-hmm. You get confused when people think, do I need to do an hour of cardio first thing in the morning to lose weight? No, people don't need to do that. Should I do the keto diet? Should I go carb-free for a month? It's just, I started to realize what people don't know because I've been involved in it for 22 years consistently on out, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's what I kind of hope the future of our podcast or our Facebook Live, I want to touch on those people like my buddy Billy, who are really high level guys and talk about that. But then, we have that one real good success story of Rochelle, right? The girl Rochelle that, I remember she met, and I hope she doesn't know, she messaged me like not even knowing where to start, like want to be back to it. Like, how do I make it? And how does she make it part of her lifestyle again? Like, it was even hard for her to starting, right? And it was just so awesome for everybody to dive in and help her. And dude, she made like ridiculous changes in her body and how she felt about just working out, just from the group page of all the people there talking about it. Mm-hmm. So I hope in the future we keep talking about that general population person who's like, I don't even know what a macro is. I don't want to be embarrassed to ask.
Yeah.
All the way down to, my man Billy was like, I want to win the Masters games. Right? I know we're going to be able to provide that kind of information. So, as we finish, what do you think about the next topic? What do you want to talk about next? The next live? Give me something. You want to put it out there and see what people think, or you got an idea of?
I was going to say, I think we can go into recovery. I think that'd be a real interesting topic. We can talk about everything from not only sleep, but then soft tissue work, hydrotherapy, different components of massage or physical therapy and kind of rehab, and not necessarily explain kind of what's best, but just make people aware of the options that are out there.
Sure. Can we talk about the new cryotherapy that people are doing?
Yeah, definitely.
Where they're getting in those like negative 700 things. And then,
have you done a float tank yet?
What's that?
Have you done a float tank?
I was actually just about to say that and talk about things like the float tank and sensory deprivation type stuff.
Yep.
I'm really curious to see what you're taking on that, because I'm very much Billy, my buddy Billy, the CrossFit guy, is just like, yes, recovery, says the 52-year-old guy. Yes, recovery. Yeah,
we got you covered, Billy.
Yeah, we got Billy. It'd be the next live is all about Billy. It's all about Billy live. But I think recovery's. I'm a minimalist in nature.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm a skeptic.
Yeah.
22 years of this industry will make you that way, right? I'm going to make you skeptic, and it kind of makes you grumpy. But I'm a minimalist in a lot of things, so I'm always skeptic on technology. Mm-hmm. What the goal of it is? I mean, for instance, foam rolling. You can read 5 different things on 5 different topics on foam rolling, right? All the way down to people using 100-pound pieces of metal to mash muscle, right? To foam rolling, to cryotherapy, to floating, to what's the difference between recovery? What's the difference between recovery and regeneration? How big of an impact can it really make? Because that's the one thing I want to know. If I'm going to do it, what can I expect from it on a recovery side?
Sure.
Is it going to make all the difference? Right?
Yeah.
Or is it just a small piece of the pie that has to be put kind of on the training totem pole? Where does it lie? Right? Mm-hmm. Mike Israel has this pyramid thing where he talks about the base is like you have to work hard in the gym.
Yeah.
And then you gotta eat right? And you gotta sleep. And like talks about percentages that it really matters all the way to the top. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about recovery and regeneration, I would like to cover like how big of a difference can it really make?
Yeah.
Right? Is it 0.2%? Now, if you're a professional athlete and trying to win the CrossFit Games, 0.2%, 2% can do a lot.
Yep.
Right? But what can they expect from it? Hyperbaric chamber was another one that was really big on recovery. Mm-hmm. And I think we can kind of use that. Do you want to get into the supplement side of that?
No, not yet. Let's do that for another one.
Okay. We'll just get into the natural things you can do for supplement recovery. Or not supplement, for just general recovery in the next one.
Yep.
We'll post about it, see what people say. And I think that'll be awesome.
Sweet.
Awesome subject. So, all right, man, we're good. Hope everybody watched it. That's a long one. I think we covered good information that everybody can jump in somewhere within that live and get something good.
Yeah.
And we'll do the next one on recovery. You good?
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
I appreciate it, Mike. Good stuff, bro.
See you.
Later on.